Welcome to SunnySpeaks. Here again with another review for you, and you. And today, I'm here to talk about Weapons, directed by Zach Cregger and starring Julia Garner, Josh Brolin, Benedict Wong, and many, many more. When all but one child is missing from Miss Gandy's classroom, a community is left questioning who or what is behind their disappearance. Weapons is one of my most anticipated movies of this year. Being a fan of Cregger's previous film Barbarian, and Weapons having great promotion, great trailers behind it, I was hyped. And to be honest, in many ways this movie exceeds expectations, and for me personally, certain expectations I had, it didn't meet at all. First, let's talk about the performances in this movie because there are many characters, and for the most part, I enjoyed what they all offered to the story and their individual performances. Julia Garner plays Justine Gandy, the teacher of the missing 17 children. I really liked her performance. She is a great actress and is really good at playing characters that are not the most likable. Justine Gandy is under tremendous stress because the community looks at her as a suspect in these kids' disappearance, and at the same time having a genuine connection with the children in her classroom and feeling her own loss. The emotions she goes through are believable and at times hard to watch because of the boundaries she's willing to push to find the truth. Josh Brolin plays Archer Graff, one of the fathers of the missing children. I found his performance to be really nuanced, and I liked the angle the writing and Josh Brolin's performance took when it comes to being a father missing their child. From grief, confusion, anger, sadness, it's all effective, and the connection between Archer and Justine I found to be a highlight, though it's not a consistent pairing in the film. Benedict Wong plays Andrew, a friend of Justine's and the principal of the school she works at, which creates a cool dynamic but can sometimes feel unbelievable in the way Justine navigates the situation and his reluctance to act like her superior ever. Even though there are scenes where he kind of talks like that, but it just never felt realistic for me, that aspect of their connection. But I did like them as friends, and I really appreciated Benedict Wong's performance, though it being brief. And his commitment when it comes to the horror in this movie is amazing. His scenes are very gruesome and brutal, and I think he nailed it. And it's so obviously the makeup adds into, because you know what I'm talking about with his eyes bulging and running, because you've seen it in the trailer most likely, but I think he did a great job of acting in those scenes in particular, because it's not just anger he's feeling. There's a lot of other emotions that I think he's able to express without saying anything and doing horrific things, and I really liked that. Alden Ehrenreich plays Paul Morgan, a police officer and past partner of Justine's. Alden's performance and Paul as a character was the real highlight for me when it comes to the story moments especially. I really enjoyed his scenes with Justine and him interacting with the chief of police, who is also his father-in-law, played by Toby Huss. Their scenes are really great too. Paul hates his life but is trying to be a good person, and I liked how his vices and flaws kept bleeding into his decision making and leading to detrimental consequences. I loved that character. I thought that his whole thing was so funny and so interesting too. Maybe I'll be in the minority with that, but I thought Paul Morgan, the police officer, was an extreme highlight for me in this film. And Alden Ehrenreich's performance, I think he just deserves more credit as an actor. Abrams plays Justin, a junkie thief on the streets while the town is in an uproar, using the panic as cover for him to get by how he can. This character was so up and down for me. Never bad, but through his portion of the story I found myself wanting to see other characters instead, but his interactions with Alden's character Paul are great and hilarious and interesting. My least favorite character is Abrams as Justin, but worth acknowledging, and I have seen on the internet that he is a fan favorite for many people. I can absolutely see why, just because of the highlights that his story portion gets to have. Cory as Alex, the one kid left from Miss Gandy's classroom, was a standout performance. Truly hope to see him in more moving forward. I think he did a great job, especially with how he has to show so much more than tell. I would put him on the same level as Anna Sophia Hegger in She Rides Shotgun when it comes to child actors who are killing it this year. I listed all these actors because if you haven't seen this movie, it's almost like an anthology story, but all these individuals are in the same town and interact with each other, and in their own stories you feel the perspective pretty well, even though you only spend probably 25-30 minutes with each character before the climax. The storytelling challenge in that I can really respect, and the execution is pretty damn good for how much is being juggled in this movie, and because there are so many dynamics at play. There are really great one-on-one scenes in this that are written well and acted greatly, and can have some solid comedy and chemistry depending on the pairing in the scene. The cinematographer of this film is Larkin Sepul. Hopefully I'm saying that right, because I think he did a great job, and this movie is beautifully gothic and haunting. The color grade is very Riverdale, but is very effective in the narrative and platforms the storytelling further. There's a lot of imagery that I enjoyed, as well as dream sequences and small set pieces that really show the benefits of a higher budgeted horror film when a director has a vision. My problem with this movie though is the horror in it. While not having the same criticism as Sinners, where I feel like that movie doesn't try to be scary after the first 5 to 10 minutes, Weapons has amazing horror visuals and never uses jump scares, at least in a way that I thought was annoying but really only effective. And if I'm being honest, I don't really count a jump scare as something that is actually real. Normally I look at jump scares as like a loud sound or a cat jumping out or something like that. That's how I see it. But this movie has a tendency to linger too often on something, and at times it can be really effective, especially when coupled with the building ominous music, but at other times it can fall flat and feel tedious. And the saddest thing for me is that I thought this movie would take itself more seriously, and it does in ways, but shame on the marketing, because this movie is another dark comedy horror. Yay! For anybody else who likes that, I honestly was so disappointed when I found out how funny this movie was trying to be. But the weird thing is that the movie is funny. It's one of the better executed dark comedy horrors I've seen all year, because it is a funny movie and uses very horrific moments to get good laughs, and that like laughs that are earned. And it's hard to feel like I feel conflicted about that aspect of the movie, because I've been saying we are in a dark comedy epidemic, but like when it's done right, it's done right. And I do think Weapons does a great job of balancing both of those genres, but the horror I find myself not attaching to as much as the comedy and the storytelling, and I wish that I did, because it has great horror visuals like I said before, but it gives the audience too many breaks to where I can't really feel the tension happening when you're trying to get a laugh, or when something is broken up by a laugh or ends with a laugh. Like, it just didn't allow me to fully engage with the horror and the fear aspect of the movie as much as I wanted to, especially going into it. The reveal of what happened to the children I also did not like, and the source of the horror, while not wanting to spoil, for me personally, I don't feel fear towards that type of horror, so it didn't work for me at all, and honestly took away from horror points that I could have given the film. But that's just my opinion, and I understand for some it only made it better, but I disagree. I also guessed pretty early what it was, and in a spoiler section I will talk more about it. Overall, I would give Weapons a partly sunny rating, despite my disappointment in the horror aspect of this film. It isn't the life-changing life experience I hoped it would be. It isn't another Hereditary, but I do like this movie, and I think it takes some huge swings and gets some home runs, but you can't win all of them. I really like Zach Cregger's directing style though. I love his focus on character and perspective, and I think that's one of the most important keys to good horror storytelling. You have to connect to the affected individuals. And I also like Weapons more than Barbarian, while Barbarian is scarier to me. This has been my review of Weapons. If you have seen Weapons, let me know what you think in the comments down below, because perspective is key. If you haven't seen Weapons, let me know if this review makes you want to go see the movie or not. I would say you should. Even though I have my ups and downs with the film, I think it is really creative in what it tries to do. And again, I think for the most part, a lot of the things that it tries to accomplish, it does it very well. And just because I didn't find it scary doesn't mean that you'll feel the same way, because people were screaming in my theater. My theater was also very disrespectful, and at times took me out of the scenes that were happening. People were opening up like chip bags when the scene was like quiet for like 3 minutes, and it's like, why would you choose this time to do that? It really bothered me, but because the movie is so effective, it didn't take me out too much, so I definitely recommend. Like like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. I'll be back again. And if you have seen Weapons or if you don't care, this is my spoiler section now. If you haven't seen it, please leave. Go see the movie yourself. Come back. Peace. And here we are. Here's the spoiler section. Witches are not scary to me. They never have been, and I can't not feel that way, sadly. My favorite renditions of the witch concept are things like American Horror Story Coven, where it doesn't try to scare you, but more immerse you into the world, bring you into the philosophy of witches and different sorts of magic and personalities paired with abilities. I like that type of stuff, so witches can be cool to me. And I didn't hate the witch in Weapons or her performance, though it being one of the weaker ones for me. And I do think if there are flaws and criticisms that I'd give to this movie on a storytelling level or performance or effective level or believability, it would all go in that direction of the movie. Is when the witch gets introduced, I just didn't find her believable, and I questioned so much of the reality that they had set up when she was introduced. I just wasn't a fan, and it sucks because I honestly really liked the way that they set up the villain or the horror source in Barbarian. I thought it was really well done and made it a nuanced situation that was kind of hard to grasp how you feel, and I think they tried to do that with Weapons in this, but I just disagree on how they went about doing that. Maybe if they did have a portion where you see her story, but I also don't think that that was necessarily needed. But yeah, those are just my opinions on the witch aspect of this. I have been seeing discourse also about the ending of this movie and how that all wraps up, and to me the ending is pretty great. Having all those kids kind of get back on the witch was pretty awesome because she puts people through some horrible things, and so to have the kids be able to get their get back, and the way that he did it, the way that Zach Cregger directed that scene was amazing. It was so cool. It was funny, it was dark, it was horrific, it was badass. Zach Cregger has a vision when it comes to making movies, and I'm really excited to see where he goes moving forward with anything he does, because he is somebody who is pushing the horror genre forward in a cool way, in a different way that I didn't expect. Him, Osgood Perkins, I would say, like, I feel like Robert Eggers, Ari Aster, and Jordan Peele are they all kind of came out around the same time, and I feel like now with the Osgood Perkins and the Zach Creggers, and definitely missing some other people, but those two in particular I feel like are starting to push the horror genre in a direction that is very interesting to me, and I hope that we get more serious horror moving forward by those directors and others. But I can't lie and act like I didn't have fun with this dark comedy horror. Probably the best dark comedy horror that has come out this year for me personally. And I don't consider Sinners a horror, even though you can call it that. Sinners is the best movie I've seen this year, but if I was ranking it under horrors, it would be very low on my list. But yeah, this has been my spoiler section. I am very curious on anybody's thoughts in the comments about the ending, what you may think, if you liked it, if you disliked it, if you think it worked, if it took away the tension for you. This movie is divisive, and I think it tries to be that. I think it tries to be different, and sometimes being different can be a negative to people. Think of Superman this year. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'm just glad Weapons is out, because there was a lot of hype, and it's cool to have it in our possession, in our minds, and we're able to talk about it now. It's cool. Peace.